In today's video, I'm going to tell you guys exactly how I would spend $1,000 if I had $1,000 to modify my VA, WRX, or STI. I love these kinds of videos. I think they've completely changed as of 2023. Not that I made one in 2022, but I made one a couple years ago because I think certain things have gotten more expensive and certain things have actually gotten cheaper. And we're going to talk about that. And in today's video, most importantly, I'm going to tell you how to make the most impact with your WRX with $1,000. So if you have $1,000, we're going to go through exactly how you can completely change your vehicle, make it unique, make it sporty, change so many of the aspects from a driving perspective, from a visual perspective, from a sound perspective. We're gonna go over all of it. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. We're still gonna have some VA content, but soon we're gonna be adding a VB to the channel, and every subscription helps because it both allows me to work towards the goal of bringing a VB on the channel in the next 1 to 2 months, but also the goal of having a VA on the channel as well to support both cars. So please consider subscribing. As I go through the mods, I'm going to show you some of the images of the products on the actual product pages so you guys can understand what I'm thinking with brand and cost and all of those things, so you can see a more analytical look of what we're doing. If you want to see those products installed on a Subaru WRX, everything that I'm talking about today was installed on my last WRX. So shameless plug here, go through my channel and it will go through how to install these things, what they look like, tons of beauty shots over multiple videos, long-term reviews of the products, everything you need to know. And with this $1,000, we're gonna get over 9 modifications on our car that's gonna completely change it. So let's start talking about it. So the first and foremost thing that I would do to the WRXs are the highest impact, low cost parts for the car that are going to completely change the visual of your vehicle. Fortunately, the channel is sponsored by JXR Performance. You don't necessarily need to buy JXR Performance products here, but they are less than 50% of the cost of the same parts with any other brand. So just factor that into the equation here of how I'm building this part list for this amount of price. Everything's new, but I'm just not spending $70 on a set of emblems. I'm spending $30. And all the links to every single part will be in the description below. So first and foremost, I'd spend my first chunk of money on the most impactful part. So I would do front and rear emblems, because that's gonna make a huge impact actually, with gloss black frames. I think that's really important that you don't just go with the vinyl. That's gonna be about 30 bucks shipped if you buy them alone through JXR Performance. With another brand, you're looking between $50 and $100 depending on the brand you go with. The next I would do fender emblems, same deal, shipped, you're gonna spend about $30, and that also makes a big change in the car. We're removing some of the chrome, we're removing some of the things that are going to conflict with your overall color scheme for the car. Number 3, I'm gonna go with a trunk lettering kit. Again, I'm removing the chrome, I'm getting some gloss black on there, I'm making less of an impact on the overall change in color scheme of the car, and also making it unique. These things might sound like common things to do, but you'd be surprised you don't see a lot of cars doing full emblem kits. That's also gonna run you about 30 bucks shipped. Now that you've spent about $90 changing 3 parts on the car that are already visually gonna change your car and they're gonna start building your color scheme, then you get to do one of the other big impact parts that is not that expensive that I actually really love on this car, and that's gonna be installing what's called an F1 light or a rear fog light. That can also match the overall color scheme and what you're trying to do, whether it's a stealth car, whether you want red, whatever it's gonna be, a F1 light. Through JXR Performance, you can find them for $80 shipped, which is a fantastic deal. But what that's gonna do is that's not only gonna give you some functionality, it's gonna make you very unique. It's going to provide some safety because you're gonna be less likely to get rear-ended. I'm not guaranteeing that, I'm not a lawyer, but that is the reality. It's gonna be very hard to not see that if you're in stop and go traffic, but it's also something that's unique and it changes the rear profile of the car, especially at night. It also gets rid of that ugly plastic bezel that sits on the bumper of our cars. After that, one of the things that bothers me most on this car is the plate location on the front of the car, and I think that's one of the things that loops a lot of WRXs into this homogeneous bundle of they all look the same. I do a plate relocation kit and get your front license plate if you're required to have one in the state you're in, and move that over to the left by your tow hook. $30 shipped on JXR Performance. Again, significantly cheaper than your $80 to $100 through other brands. So save your money here. This is how I'm saving the money in the overall build of the car. Now on to 3 of the more bigger ticket items that have more impact. So first and foremost, I think the most important larger item that really changes this car, that makes from a visual standpoint, absolutely changes what you're working with, and that's gonna be a front lip. Now, I have conflicting opinions with the front lip. get the cheapest possible front lip that you can buy and do your own painting, or buy one that's cheap that's already painted. There's a bunch of different options. Just know that if you do go with the Amazon options, one of the downsides is your fitment's not gonna be as great, and you're gonna end up having to drive more screws into your bumper, and it's still not gonna be perfect. Having had a couple Amazon front lips, I would say that that's probably not the right way, but you could go HT Auto, Maxton. I'll throw a couple links in the description. Those are reputable brands with really good fitment on these cars. And sometimes they're already painted gloss black, but I would just, if they aren't, quicksand, primer coat, gloss black, the paint supplies on that alone, maybe $10. You can usually pick up one of these front lips for about 200 bucks with paint if you need to, shipped for the most part. Maybe add or subtract $30 or $40, depending on the brand you go with. But overall, a front lip will make such a change on your car. You'll instantly get more aggressive. You'll instantly change the visual effect of the car. The car will instantly look lower, although you haven't changed the height because you're dropping your front bumper height by like 2 inches. It does a lot of things to the car. The last visual one, before we change some of the aspects of the engine and the way the engine operates, not the engine, but the way it sounds, is Rally Armor mud flaps. This is a little bit of a hit or miss thing. I look at these as they look good. They add some depth of field of view on the sides of the car, so all of a sudden your car is a little bit wider. It's a little bit more stance, it's a little bit more aggressive, and if you do end up with wider wheels later on down the line, they fit really well with wider wheels with a better offset ratio to get a little bit more poke on your tires, or if you're running spacers or something like that. You could funnel spacers into this list because spacers are only about 50 bucks. If you wanted to, if you're keeping the stock wheels, I would definitely run spacers just so you're not sunk into your wheel wells. Rally Armor mud flaps are a big one here. I prefer Rally Armor over RBs, but with that said, they're pretty interchangeable. There is a safety and kind of overall cleanliness aspect with these. It will make your job cleaning your car significantly easier because you'll clean the mud flap instead of cleaning like rubber and dirt and grime off the spray pattern of your car just being an all-wheel drive. I can tell you that from owning 2 of these and putting like literally 6 figures of miles on both of them combined. I've done the mud flaps on both cars and they were a lifesaver in the long run. The last on our list is a little bit contentious. It's definitely something you should do, and it's definitely something that we're all gonna do, but it's either buying a used catback, because they've gotten a lot more expensive, or a new axle back. Hearing your WRX or your STI is gonna be crucial. It's gonna change the experience of driving it. It's gonna make you feel a lot more sporty. Even though you're not gonna be moving faster, I promise you it's going to be the largest thing that you feel different driving that car if you change the sound and tone coming from your car. The reality between the axle back and the cat back actually isn't that much. From a decibel change in sound, there isn't a lot of difference, especially if you're just going with a muffler delete. I will say the deepness of the tone goes down if you do a full catback because you're opening up the exhaust a little bit more. There's a little bit more reverberation as it flows through and out the back with the back pressure. Just to say, under the budget, if you can't find yourself a full catback that's used for a good price, buying an axle back, like a Remark axle back or a nameless axle back, is going to solve all of your sound problems for the most part. Adding the mid-pipe section won't do that much. It'll be hard to notice, and you'll get the more aggressive profile on the tips. You'll get more pronounced tips. You could go with larger tips. You could go with double wall, single wall, burnt tips, black tips. The sky's the limit there, but that will make a massive difference in the car. Now, give or take, we're at about $1,000 here, plus or minus, whether you bundle parts together, save on shipping, doing that kind of thing, depending on the state, if you have sales tax, all those types of things. The one other thing that I'm gonna add here, because I think that we have an extra $20 or $30 to play, is I would just buy a couple sheets, maybe like a 5x6, or maybe slightly larger, maybe a 5x8, so you can cut off a section of it and still wrap the roof. But I would buy like a 5x8 section of 3M gloss black vinyl wrap, and I would do 5x6 on the roof, wrap the roof gloss black, and then I would save 2 sections and I would wrap both side view mirrors, and then I would probably wrap the trunk trim on the back. All things that I did minus the roof wrap, which I regret not doing on my last WRX. I've got videos on how to do both of those, but those are modifications that for like 30 bucks, you can completely change and customize the overall look of your car. And you can actually take the color scheme and the way that your eyes perceive the color scheme that you're looking at and almost break them up. So I think doing the side view mirrors for me was a big deal on my white WRX because it broke up like pillars and white, and it made it almost like there was more depth of contrast. Same thing with the roof. If you actually take away the white tone or whatever color your car is at the roof, it then makes more contrast to the parts that are the original color that you're actually seeing. And I think personally, it makes the car pop a little bit. At the very least, you look at a stock one and what you've done, and there is going to be so much difference. They will be wildly different, and either you'll just have spent the $40 on wrap, or you'll have spent the $1,000 on these modifications, and you're going to go from what most people would consider a not modified car to a modified car, even though you haven't really done that much. And that's how I would spend $1,000. I appreciate you guys watching the video. Let me know if you have other mods that you would do in the comment section below, or if you've gotten better deals on any of these things. Just as a reminder, all the parts are going to be linked in the website below. Thank you to JXR Performance for, one, helping the community for our channel, but just also the Subaru community for access to cheaper parts. And that's what they're all about. So check out the links below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.